How is everybody doing? Nick the Bulls fan here. And we did the East rankings preview. Now it's time for the West. The Western Conference 2013-2014 season for the NBA. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Doing it for the East was hard. Like picking who I wanted and what I think would happen, not who I wanted, but what I thought would happen. But for the West, oh my gosh, it was impossible. So, these probably won't be right, but this is just my guess. This is what I think will happen. And I put a lot of thought into this, so I hope you like it. Tell me what you think in the comments. All right. At number 15, you got a team who wants Wiggins. And that team is the Suns. Now, the Suns recently traded Marcin Gortat, probably their second best player behind Eric Bledsoe, and they're looking to trade Dragic. Now, they got a nice point guard in Eric Bledsoe. He's probably the point guard for the future. Gordon Dragic is kind of young, middle of his career, but he's just not what they're looking for. They're looking for the future, and he's probably like the best he can be. So I'll probably look to trade him. At the 2, all they have is Archie Goodwin. I don't know if they'll start him or play someone else at the 2. Maybe Dragic at the 2. I'm not sure, but as you see, he's only a 68. Not that good of a player, but hey, you never know with these rookies. They can do whatever. At the 3, you got a bunch of guys who... Marcus Morris is young. Gerald Green, middle of his career. P.J. Tucker, well, he's only 3 years pro, but he's 28, so... All 3 of them are... Well, Marcus Morris has potential. He's more of a shooter. Can play the 4 as well, him and Markieff Morris. But not really much at the 3. I mean, Gerald Green could throw down and shoot decently, but he's not a good starter in the NBA. At the 4, kind of the same with Markieff Morris and Channing Frye. They have a lot of shooters, like as big men, too. All right, but at the center, they got what they hope to be as their future in Alex Len. I believe the 5th pick in the NBA draft. He's a pretty good center. I haven't seen him play yet, but we'll see how he does. I hope he does pretty good. I like him. They also have Emeka Okafor, who apparently is injured with a lower back strain. I don't know how long he'll be out for that, but he's injured right now, and they don't have much depth at the 5. I mean, they got Miles Plumlee and Vyacheslav Kretsov. I butchered Kravtsov. Oh my gosh, I'm a jerk. Yeah. But yeah, they got that dude from Ukraine. Oh, Alex Len's from Ukraine too. Maybe they're friends. That's cool. But yeah, I got them at number 15. They're looking to get Wiggins or another one of those big names coming in the draft next year. At number 14, we got a team that free agency really screwed over. They were a team that were close to the playoffs last year, almost made it, but free agency really screwed them over. And last year, if it wasn't for injuries, they would have made the playoffs. But yeah, you got the Utah Jazz. They got some nice young pieces in Derek Favors, Gordon Hayward, Alec Burks, and Trey Burke when he comes back from a broken finger. I like Rudy Gobert a lot. Enes Kanter hasn't really seemed to turn out in the NBA, but it's only his 3rd season, so we'll see if he could bring it this year. He'll have a lot of playing time. He'll probably get the start at the center. So they're a young team. I mean, nothing against them. I like young teams, and I hope that I like Trey Burke in real life. In this game, I hate him because in the rookie showcase of my career, he ball hogs, but I like him. I hope he succeeds. Alec Burks is a pretty good shooter. I wouldn't say a good starter, but he's still young, so he could become a good starter. Gordon Hayward, one of those guys, he's still young. He's got potential. He can shoot like from most places on the court. He's a very good shooter. You see your shot 42% from the field, or from 3 last year. And he made 102 threes, so he can shoot the ball. Richard Jefferson can shoot still. Not what he used to be, kind of washed up a little bit, but he can still shoot. Marvin Williams, not much, but he's injured. Then Jeremy Evans, all he could do is dunk. But as I said, Derek Favors is a good young power forward. He can show out a lot this year. I feel like he's going to have a pretty good season. I know he's been working a lot, and I actually saw a game of his. I was at a Bucks Jazz game last year, and he he did very well. He had like a double-double in the first quarter. It was insane. But yeah, I feel like he'll have a pretty good season. And Rudy Gobert, one of my favorite players. He's actually 7'2". Dude has like a 7'9" wingspan. It's incredible. He has to jump like 3 or 4 inches to dunk the ball. It's just incredible. Look up highlights of Rudy Gobert and you'll just see what I mean. It's just awesome to watch. I don't know if he's that good, really. He can block the ball, obviously, but he's so lanky, but he's a little skinny. He needs to put on some muscle, but he can throw down, really, because he's so tall and lanky. But I like him. And Enes Kanter, maybe he can have the season that they expected him to have and live up to the potential that he was given. And the next team, actually, the Kings. So the Kings are kind of in a crappy position. They got all these young players, but they have too many of them. They don't know where to put people. I mean, they got so many shooters. They got, okay, Isaiah Thomas, pretty young. Grievous Vasquez, pretty young. Ray McCollum, a rookie. Jimmer Fredette, I don't know what they're going to do with him. They have all these young players with somewhat talent, but it seems like they're all shooters. Jimmer is strictly a shooter. Isaiah is a mostly shooter. I mean, he gets some assists, but as you see, he's mostly, as a point guard, mostly a shooter-scorer. Yeah, definitely. And then Grievous Vasquez, he dribbles too much, apparently. He can shoot decently. He's not a great shooter, but yeah, he's a pretty good shooter. But yeah, they have a lot of shooters. They don't have glue guys like John Selmans. He's washed up, old. I think they should trade John Selmans to a competitive team and just play the young guys. You could play Marcus Thornton and McLemore, or even if that doesn't work out, put Grievous at the 2 maybe. I don't know. He's 6'6". He likes the ball in his hand though. But they have DeMarcus Cousins, and DeMarcus Cousins has the potential to be a top 3 center in the NBA, if not the best. He just needs to get his head out of the gutter, or his head out of his ass, really. He has the talent to be a complete beast. And Shaq now has like minority ownership in the Kings, so I feel like Shaq will help DeMarcus out a lot, and I hope he does, because DeMarcus has all the talent in the world. If he can just get his act together, he can be so good. And Patrick Patterson's decent, not great. Yeah, they're just a decent team. I really like McLemore. I think he'll be good, but they don't have the firepower and the veterans to make a playoff run, really, in my opinion. Then at number 12, a team that was one of the most talked about team in the offseason because they made so many moves. And the new team name, you got what used to be the New Orleans Hornets, now the New Orleans Pelicans. They, over the offseason, they traded their 6th pick in the draft, I believe the 6th pick in the draft, for Drew Holiday, and they traded that to the 76ers, and they also gave up their draft pick next year. So they got Drew Holiday. They also signed Tyreek Evans in the offseason, as well as they drafted Jeff Witte, made a couple other moves, but Eric Gordon, I feel like this is a make-or-break year for him. He has the talent. If he could stay healthy and play, if he wants to play and he stays healthy, this team could possibly make a run to the playoffs, maybe. I have them at number 12 now just because you don't know with all these new guys. I mean, they'll probably put Anthony Davis at the center and start Ryan Anderson, but you don't really know. They don't have much depth at the center. I like Steamson and I like Witte, but they're not that good of players at this time. I mean, I feel like both of them have a little bit of potential, but right now they're not starting centers in the NBA. And Drew Holiday, I think, is a little overrated. I mean, he had 18 and 8 and 2 steals around and 4 rebounds, but he was on one of the worst teams in the NBA last year, and it was without their best player. So honestly, he made the All-Star team kind of by default with the fact that D Rose was hurt, Darren Williams was having a bad season, Rondo was hurt, and yeah, he made the All-Star team kind of by default, and I feel like he's a little bit overrated because of that. But he's not bad, but I wouldn't say he's a great point guard. Tyreek, good. Anthony Davis, we'll see if he can stay healthy, maybe put on some muscle weight. He's a little skinny for my liking, but hey, he's got the potential. I mean, Going in, when he was drafted, they were like, oh my gosh, he's the next Tim Duncan. Now, I think that's hurt him a little bit just because there was so much pressure to be great. And he had problems with injuries last year, only playing 64 games. But he averaged like 14 points, 8 rebounds, a steal, and 2 blocks. That's not bad, but with the hype that was going around him, I think they expected him to do more, and maybe this season he could do what they expected him to do last year, with him being the first pick in the draft. But yeah, this team has the potential. In the next couple of years, I think they'll be a playoff team, but this year I just don't think they'll have enough to make it in this conference where, like, basically, with the exception of the bottom 3 teams, you got with the exception of the bottom 3 teams, you got all of these teams that could possibly make the playoffs. I just think it'll be hard for them to get there. All right, at number 11, you got a team in the Lakers. I wanted to put them higher, but it's just hard. While I feel like they could make a run, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they did with Kobe when he comes back. I'm not sure when he will. There was speculation that he might make like the regular season, but that is clearly not happening. He's not even close. I'm not saying he's not even close, but he's not like going to be playing in the next 2 weeks at least. They're saying maybe around Christmas now, which that was the timetable from the start, and then everyone was like, "Oh, he's doing incredible. He's making a comeback. He's going to be back early. This new medicine or new whatever is just incredible." But now I don't know when he'll be back. Pau Gasol, he has to have a good year. He really does. He has to carry the team while Kobe is gone. He really does. Nash needs to be what he can be. Needs to score about 12 points and average about 9 assists. Kaman, he needs to do work. Nick Young, he needs to shoot the lights out. This team has talent. There's guys I like Xavier Henry. I feel like he can be pretty good. And Steve Blake, he's pretty good in my opinion, along with Jordan Farmer. All guys who are like role players but are a little underrated. But I don't feel... I want to say they're going to make the playoffs, but it's hard just with the talent in the West. There's so much talent in the West, so I don't think they'll be able to do it this year just with all the drama behind when's Kobe coming back and them losing to White. They picked up a lot of good role players. I just don't think they have the firepower, and I think Steve Nash is a little too old. I just think he's just not what he used to be, definitely, and he's lost a lot of his game, really. So that's what I think of the Lakers. At number 10, you have a team that back and forth, up and down. They won a title next year. They didn't even make the playoffs. Or they might have made the playoffs. I'm not sure. Don't listen to that. But the Mavericks, all right. You got Dirk. Obviously, he's aging. Monte Ellis, who they picked up in the free agency. Him and Dirk, if Monte can play smart and if he has basketball IQ, which he doesn't have the best basketball IQ, but at times he can play with basketball IQ, and he plays decent defense, then they can possibly make a run. I mean, Dirk, obviously, you never know what he's going to do. I mean, he always has the potential to drop 30 on you. He's one of the best shooting power forwards of all time. I love Dirk, one of my favorite players of all time. I hope he has a good season. Last year wasn't so good. He only averaged like 17 points, 7 rebounds. But he has the potential to do it. He's a little old, but I think he still has maybe a season in him. Sean Marion plays some good defense. His shot is hideous. He can shoot like every once in a while a mid-range, not a good shooter though. You got Vince Carter. He is streaky. He can score though. He can average it. Like he can drop 20 on you. He averaged 13 points last year, but I believe he did. He came off the bench some of the season at least, and he could drop 20 points on you at any given night. I mean, he was a beast in his younger days, one of the best dunkers of all time, if not the best. But now he lost a little jumps. He can still get up every once in a while, but now he's kind of a three-point shooter now. He is a good three-point shooter now. I like him a lot. Jose Calderon, he's underrated point guard. I actually do like him. I feel like he can do a little bit of work. Honestly, he's a good passer, good shooter, and he's just one of those guys who, not unless you're like a big basketball fan, you don't really know about and don't know about his talent, but he's a pretty good point guard. long. They got some Shane Larkin. I feel like he's going to be pretty good when he comes back from the broken foot. Devin Harris as well, who broke his toe. So those guys come back. Got a decent bench, actually. And Vince Carter, Wayne Ellington. Jay Crowder, I like him. He's can do a lot of things. Oh, what am I doing? I don't know why I did that. But yeah. Where was I? Yeah, Jay Crowder can do a lot of things. Dirk. And then I like DeJuan Blair. I feel like the Spurs didn't play him nearly enough last year. He was pretty good. And then they got Borsdy out, and then they just stopped. Like his rookie year, he averaged 8 and 6 with a block, a steal, and an assist. I mean, he was pretty good, and that kind of made me mad how the Spurs didn't play him much at all last year. So I hope he could have a nice season with the Mavs, get some minutes. I really do, because I like DeJuan Blair a lot. And Samuel Dallenberg, not looked at to be a really good center, but he does provide for you. He gets a lot of blocks, he really does. Kind of at the latter end of his career, but he can still get rebounds and block. Not much of a scorer, but hey, in limited minutes, he used to make things happen. So hopefully he could take over the starting job and do some work. And then you got Brandon Knight, right? He's actually injured right now, separated shoulder, but he is a guy who's very lanky, and he's a pretty good player. Honestly, he could play the 3 and he could play the 4 and the 5. I like him. I wanted the Bulls to trade for him last year. They didn't, but he's a pretty good player. So I got them at 10. And then at the 9 spot, okay, 9 through 1, or no, 9 through 2 was just impossible, honestly. 9 through 2 was so hard for me to just decide, honestly. All right, 9, 7, 9, 7, 8, 9, all three, I was deciding between the 3, which one was going to get kicked out. And with the 9th spot, I had a team who made the playoffs last year but lost a really good player in Andre Iguodala. You got the Denver Nuggets. Now, they did pick up my boy Nate Robinson, who, much loved Nate, turned up last year in the Bulls. Really, much respect, Nate. I love you. I miss you, but he's just streaky. All right? I like Nate. I'm a big fan of Nate, but people don't see the bad things. People only see the good things. People don't watch every game of Nate like I did last year. I watched majority of the Bulls games, and Nate, while he can shoot, while he can score, he has times where he cannot buy a basket. Like, he shoots like 4 straight, wide open, just no shots, and then he makes like a fadeaway like 3 from like 4 steps behind the 3-point line. He's streaky, all right? People saw him do work against the Nets, had like 23 points in a quarter. It was incredible. But he's just streaky, all right? He can get it done for you. He could win. He could shoot you into games, and he could shoot you out of games, really. Nate Robinson, I like him, but he's not the answer. He's not Andre Iguodala, obviously. He's 5'7". Ty Lawson's a pretty good point guard. Yeah, he's pretty good. He also is a little short. And Andre Miller, third point guard. I don't see why they need all 3 of these guys, really. I feel like they should trade Andre Miller. Andre Miller can still pass the ball, no shooting, can get to the hole a little bit, but not much shooting at all. Then at the 2, not much, really. Probably put maybe Jordan Hamilton at the 2, or when Gallinari comes back, him and Wilson Chandler at the 2 and 3. I don't know what they'll do with their lineup, but at the 2, they're not much set with Randy Foye. I mean, only 6'4", dude can shoot, but you need more than just shooting. They're losing Andre Iguodala at the 2, their best player, and I don't think he'll be able to make up for what Iggy did. Evan Fournier can shoot the lights out, but he's not Iggy either. Jordan Hamilton is pretty good. They're looking at him to maybe do some of the things that Iggy did, but he's not Iggy. And Gallinari right now, he tore his ACL at like March of last year, so we don't know when he's going to come back. Maybe by like Christmas, I heard, or something like that. But when he comes back, that'll help him out a lot. With Wilson Chandler, he's a pretty good player. Gallinari's a pretty good player as well. That'll help him out a lot. And maybe they can make a playoff run, but I don't think they will, just because I think they'll have a rough start without Gallinari. At the 4, the Manimal. I love him. There's some rumors that he's going to get traded. If they trade the Manimal, I will be just completely disappointed, sad, and unless he goes to the Bulls or a team that I like, I will feel the Manimal. Oh my gosh, I just love the Manimal. He's one of my favorite players in the NBA. Dude is just straight up energy, hustle, heart. He's just a man, all right. I just love the Manimal. I think he's a good power forward, man. I love the Manimal. J.J. Hickson, JaVale McGee. J.J. Hickson's a decent center. I really like JaVale McGee. I think JaVale McGee, if given the minutes, he can be a good center, honestly. He has the potential to be a really good center. His shot blocking alone is incredible. He can throw down like anyone else. The problem with him is his rebounding's not too great. He can when he wants to, but he's often, his head is not in the game really. Like, he's just not the smartest guy. If he can gather all of his talents and play smart, he can be a good center in this league. But right now, he just can't seem to do that. And with the new coach, and I think Brian Shaw's their new head coach, I don't think he'll be able to convert JaVale McGee to a starting point guard or a good starting center. I don't think he could do it any better than George Karl would have been able to do it. So I think it's kind of sad, but I think I have hope for JaVale McGee, but it's looking tough right now. So yeah, I think they'll be the 9th seed. Well, not the 9th seed. They'll miss the playoffs by 1 seed, sadly. But hey, there's potential. I think they have a chance to make the playoffs too. At number 8, the first team in the playoffs. Who we got? We got a team that last year went through some tough injuries, really tough injuries, and one of my favorite players is on this team. You got the Timberwolves. You got Kevin Love. I think he is the best power forward in the NBA. There's always an argument for that, but when healthy, dude, he is a beast. 26 points, 13 rebounds. That's incredible. 20 points, 15 rebounds. That's incredible. Kevin Love is a beast. If he can stay healthy, and he can be a beast. He is a beast. So I hope he can stay healthy. Picked up Kevin Martin. That'll help at the shooting guard. He's a good shooter. Not much else but shooting, but he is a good shooter, obviously. One of the best shooters in the NBA, so that'll help them out. Pekovic is an underrated center. I think he's a pretty good center, honestly. He gets a lot of not a lot of rebounds, but gets a good amount of rebounds. Can score a little bit, averaging 16 points last year while shooting 52%. So that's pretty good. Ricky Rubio, obviously one of the best passers in the NBA. You saw that he's just scratching the surface with his offensive game, really, and sometimes he needs to look to score more and pass less. But, I mean, he is a pass-first point guard, and that's what he comes from in Spain. He is 6'4". He's got some nice height. So I think he could lead this team, really. And I like their bench. Corey Brewer, I like him. He might start. Derek Williams, I like him. Shved, he's got good height, can play the 1 over the 2. J.J. Barea, obviously, as you saw him in the finals like 3 years ago, against the Heat in the West against the Lakers when they swept him. J.J. Barea can turn it on. Really, you never know when he's going to turn it on. I like him. Shabazz Muhammad, I feel like he'll be decent. I feel like that was kind of a steal. If he can get his head in the right place, I feel like he can end up being a good player. Might not get many minutes, but I feel like in some limited action he could do a little bit. They also got Ronnie Turioff, Dante Cunningham, Gorgie Dang, AJ Price, and Chase Budinger. He needs to get healthy. I mean, he torn meniscus. I'm not sure when it happened, really, but I hope he can get healthy because he's a pretty good player. People make fun of him for being a ginger, but he can definitely start on this team. It's just all about preference, really, who they want to start. So, yeah, that's the Timberwolves. I got them at the 8th seed, and I like them. I really do. And then at the 7th seed, another team that didn't make the playoffs last year, but people don't know this because it wasn't a lot of big moves, but the Portland Trailblazers made a bunch of small moves in the offseason to bring their team to, I think, a playoff team. First of all, they picked up Mo Williams. Mo Williams is a great backup point guard. He's not a great point guard. He is a great backup point guard. He can score. He can lead a team. He's been on good teams. He knows what it takes. So I think that's a really good pickup for them. as well as they drafted Alan Crabb, and Alan Crabb's not the big guy, but he's pretty good. They got a steal on him. They got him in the second round, so that was a good pick for them. But they got C.J. McCollum, broken toe, 8 to 10 weeks. I'm not sure when he will be back. But him and Damian Lillard together, I think, will be just a good match. Whether they're going to put him at the 1 as a backup, or maybe kind of like the Bulls play Kirk Heinrich, where he plays the 1 and the 2. Sometimes he plays the 2 when D Rose, they run the 2 kind of point guard lineups. But I like C.J. McCollum a lot. I think he's a really good shooter, and I think he'll be a really good player in the NBA. And Wesley Matthews, obviously, is a really good shooter. Oh, why did I go there? Nicholas Batum, he's underrated. He's a good small forward in this league. He really is. Plays some good defense, can shoot the tray, throw it down. I like Nicholas Batum, as well as Darrell Wright. That was a good pickup for them as well. Another one of those role players that really helps the team make the playoffs and make a run in the playoffs. I like him a lot. He can shoot. He can shoot very well. And then one of my favorite pickups in the offseason, just because I wanted to see him to go to a place where he'll get playing time. Thomas Robinson, man, he was treated like complete crap. I feel bad for him, all right? Last year, started off on the Kings, the fourth or fifth pick overall in the draft. Played on the Kings, gave him little to no minutes. It was sad. They did not. Well, they gave him some minutes, but they didn't play him nearly enough. When you draft the fifth player in the NBA draft and you don't play him like some decent minutes, man, that's crap. Especially with what you have at the power forward. You got Patrick Patterson, or not even. They had like him and like Jason Thompson. Yeah, him and Jason Thompson. And they didn't give him enough minutes. Then he got traded to the Rockets for Patrick Patterson, basically. And he still didn't get enough minutes. Like, I thought when he went to the Rockets, oh, dang, this is going to be good. They're going to start him with the Sheik. They got Parsons, Harden, and then Lynn. They could make something happen in the playoffs. But nope, he didn't play. That pissed me off. I feel like he has a chip on his shoulder now, and whether they're going to start him and then LaMarcus at the 4 or 5, or start Robin Lopez, I feel like Thomas Robinson will have a good season and show why he was the 5th pick in the NBA draft. I just want him to do well. And then LaMarcus Aldridge, one of the best low post players in the NBA. He'll have a good season, really. With Damian Lillard, Rookie of the Year last year, overlooked a lot just because there's so many great point guards. But he's just as good. Not just as good, but he's got the talent to be just as good, and he's got the will to win. I like Damian Lillard a lot. I see a lot in his future. So I think the Timberwolves the Trailblazers will be the 7th seed in the West. All right, next at the 6th seed, you got a team who made a decent run in the playoffs last year. Made it to the Western Conference Finals. You got the Grizzlies, who I think... bad idea. They fired their coach, Lionel Hollins, and I don't remember who they picked up. But new coach, obviously, you got arguably the best 3-4 in the NBA, with 3-4 combo in the NBA with Marc Gasol and Zebo. Tayshaun Prince, not that good of a starter, but he's decent. Tony Allen, one of the best defensive players in the NBA. That helps a lot. He locks down. He's only 6'4". Man, this dude can guard any point guard, any shooting guard, any small forward. This dude locks down LeBron if he wants to. Not locks down, but minimizes LeBron. Very good defensive player. And then Mike Conley Jr., pretty good point guard. Not great, but pretty good. Now, I know this team will make the playoffs because they always do. They have arguably the best defense in the NBA. I think the Bulls, and the Heat, the 3 best defensive teams in the NBA. So, they'll make the playoffs, but I'm not too hot on them as some other people are. I just don't think they have enough offensive firepower. I mean, Zebo can score, but I just don't think they have enough offensive firepower to be one of those top seeds. I think they still will make the playoffs with their defense because they are a great defensive team. But I don't see them... I feel like they're going to, just because I'm saying it. I don't see them good enough offensively to win a title, really. But I got them at the 6th seed. And now, 5 through 2 was also very hard for me. Number 1 seed, I thought really deserved it, and I think they will prove it. But 5 through 6, or what was I saying? 5 through 2 was hard. Very hard, actually. At number 5, I don't know why I did this, really. This was just too tough of a decision for me. But I got the Warriors at number 5. I mean, they could be the first seed, I wouldn't say first seed, but they could definitely be, they could fit anywhere, really. You don't know how it's going to work. I mean, you got the Splash Brothers and Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Steph Curry becoming one of the best point guards in the NBA. He's a beast, the best shooter in the NBA. I think that's without question. Then Klay Thompson, another great three-point shooter, shot 40% from 3 while making 211. Jeez. Man, they made so many threes last year. And then the big pickup, Andre Iguodala. I like the pickup, but honestly, what I would like them to do more would be bring Klay Thompson's off the bench as like a bona fide bench player similar to Jamal Crawford and start Iggy at the 2, Harrison at the 3. I'm saying this because David Lee, he's good. Andrew Bogut is good. Andrew Bogut is not offense. Now, David Lee is pretty good offense. But I feel like they have enough offense on their starting lineup to do it. And I feel like with the loss of Jarrett Jack, that they need that guy off the bench that could do it for them. I don't see Tony Douglas doing it. I don't see... Well, Kent Bazemore apparently improved a lot over the offseason, but I don't see him being Jarrett Jack. I don't see Draymond Green being Jarrett Jack. And Harrison Barnes is a different player than Jarrett Jack. While he can score, I think he'll score like 13 or so this year. He's more of a like defense, rebounding, hustle guy. Can do everything pretty much. So I think he wouldn't be the point guard, but if they started Harrison Barnes and Iggy and put Klay Thompson as a 6-man, I think he could do somewhat to what Jarrett Jack did last year and just be a bona fide 6-man like Jarrett Jack was. So I like them a lot. They could be anywhere, really. I'm saying 5th seed, but really we don't know. But I got them at the 5th seed. At the 4th seed, you got a team that they made two big moves. They made a lot of big moves, actually. We got the Clippers. The Clippers, they re-signed Chris Paul, what they needed to do. They picked up Darren Collison, picked up Antoine Jameson, picked up J.J. Redick, picked up Dudley. I traded for them, got Bullock in the draft. They lost Caron Butler, Eric Bledsoe. Who else? And someone else. Chauncey Billups, but he didn't play much because he was always injured. But honestly, they picked up Doc Rivers as a coach. That's big for them. I feel like what is going to decide if they can be a championship team is DeAndre Jordan. If DeAndre Jordan could average maybe like 13 points, 10 or 11 rebounds, and 3 blocks, I think they could compete for the title. While if Blake can hit a jump shot and improve on his free throws and rebounding, I think they have the talent, a very good bench, actually. They start J.J. Redick and have Jamal Crawford as a bona fide 6-man. Darren Collison, a good backup center or backup point guard. He could start on some teams as a point guard. So I feel like they could win a championship, but right now I got them at the 4th seed just because I feel like I don't know if Blake and DeAndre are going to do it together. I feel like if they can't do it together, that maybe you'll have to get rid of one of them. Or not maybe one of them. Maybe you have to get rid of DeAndre Jordan and then find someone who fits the system better instead of Lob City. Because while the alley-oop, everyone loves to see it and it's exciting. I love it too, but it doesn't win championships really. You need more defense, and while DeAndre Jordan blocks a lot of shots, he's not the greatest defender ever. I mean, he's pretty good, but he's not the greatest. And Blake Griffin's an okay defender at best. Chris Paul is a great defender, but at the 2. Jamal Crawford is one of the worst defenders in the NBA. J.J. Redick's nothing special. Matt Barnes is a good defender. Dudley is mostly a shooter. So, yeah, I feel like they might need to get a little bit more defense, but you never know with the Clippers. Obviously, you got Doc Rivers coaching, so you don't know if maybe Doc Rivers will make Chris Paul a better player. I mean, he already is looked at as the best point guard, but Doc Rivers is one of the best coaches in the NBA. So you never know how they'll do. So I got them at number 4. At number 3, a team that it's kind of they're probably my second favorite team in the NBA. You got the Thunder. Durant, I love you. You're the man. Also, I wish you the best. What's going to hurt them and why I don't have them at the 1 or 2 seed is Russell Westbrook. Now, there's rumors that he could come back maybe as earliest as in 2 weeks. But how is he going to be when he comes back? I mean, and he's going to be good to play. You don't want him to come back and then re-injure it. I mean, Derrick Rose, I'm not trying to just go back on the past here, but Derrick Rose said, Russell Westbrook, take your time. Russell Westbrook wants to come back because he loves being in the spotlight, as you can tell by his clothes, what he wears. But I feel like he should probably take his time, but they do need him back at the same time, so I really don't know. I mean, it's tough. It really is. They got Reggie Jackson, who's a pretty good backup point guard. He's not a great starter. He's not Russell Westbrook. But what needs to happen is Jeremy Lamb needs to be good. He needs to be really good for this team to win a title because they're losing Kevin Martin last year, and he was a bona fide scorer off the bench, really. So they need him to do somewhat of what Kevin Martin does. I mean, he's not that similar to a player of Kevin Martin. I mean, he's a decent shooter. He's not a great shooter, but he's pretty athletic, which was something Kevin Martin didn't really have. Thabo Sefolosha is who they're going to start probably for defensive purposes. They need some defense on the line. I like Ibaka. I think he's one of the best power forwards in the NBA, but I feel like he needs to go into the paint a little more and stop shooting as many jump shots and stay away from the 3-point line. Shot 35% from the 3-point line and made 20 of them. I think he just needs to stay away from the 3-point line. In my opinion, unless you can shoot at least 37% and you're 6'10" and you're a beast in the paint, you should be away from the 3-point line. Needs to average more rebounds definitely. What is hurting this team though, and what I feel like is going to keep this team from winning a title, is Kendrick Perkins. He's dead weight really at this point. Honestly, last year he's bad. He's averaging 6 rebounds. Come on, dude. And another thing, as I said earlier, but Ibaka needs to rebound more. There's no reason why Kevin Durant should be averaging more rebounds than you, Ibaka. You need to get in the paint more and stop playing on the perimeter. I know he's a shot blocker, goes up for a lot of block shots, but he really does need to rebound more to take the next step in making him a better player. I think they just need to get rid of Perkins. Honestly, he's dead weight. No one wants him. Just get rid of him. Sign someone else. Trade for somebody. I don't know. Just Perkins, bye-bye. They don't really have much assets now. I feel like in the whole scheme of things, they didn't get much for Bradley Beal, really. Or, what am I saying? Bradley Beal. For James Harden. I'm kind of losing my voice here. But for James Harden, they traded him for basically Kevin Martin, who left after a season or two. Or a season. And then what happened to be the pick... what happened to be Steven Adams. And Jeremy Lamb. But they could have traded. There was on the table the 3rd pick in the draft, who ended up being, I think, Beal. Yeah, Beal, the 3rd pick in the draft. They could have traded. The Wizards wanted, there was a deal on the table. The Wizards put on the table for James Harden for the 3rd pick in the draft. the third draft pick, and something else. If they would have done that, I feel like that would have been the best decision. I feel like trading James Harden for what they ended up getting was kind of a failure. Seeing how good James Harden is on the Rockets, arguably the best shooting guard in the NBA, I think that trade didn't go the way they thought it would and the way they wanted it to, but they still have Durant, the second best player in the NBA, and Russell, one of the best point guards in the NBA. When he can come back, I feel like they can compete. That's why I think they'll be the third seed. But I have them at the third because I don't know if they'll get off to a hot start without Russell Westbrook. It'll be hard. But I feel like Durant has it in him. If he can get the help from Ibaka, Lamb, and if Perkins could do something instead of being scary out there for real. All right, but I got them at third. At the 2 spot, you got a team who had the best free agent, maybe not the best, but one of the best free agent, just one of the best guys in the NBA. They got Dwight Howard. I'm sorry, my talking level is just low right now. I've been talking for 40 minutes. It's a lot longer than I wanted it to be, but hey, I like talking about the NBA. So they got Dwight Howard, James Harden, obviously, maybe the best shooting guard in the NBA, maybe the best center in the NBA. You can make an easy case for both that. Aaron Brooks, I don't know why you are a 77 in this game. I think that's completely absurd. You'll be the third string point guard behind. They're going to start Patrick Beverley. Jeremy Lin's going to be their backup, and Aaron Brooks is going to be the third string point guard. So I don't know why he's a 77 in this game. But I like what they did with their bench. They got Ronnie Brewer, who's a good defensive player, and he's got some good athleticism. Really, though, there for his defense. I like Chandler Parsons a lot. I think he's an underrated player. He can shoot, he can score, he can play defense. I just like his game a lot. And Francisco Garcia and Omri Caspi are both guys who can shoot the ball. Greg Smith, they don't have much at the 4 at all, but apparently, I think, in what they should do, they should start just a giant lineup and put have Dwight and Omer Sheik starting. That's what I think they will do, just because with their weakness at the power forward, Greg Smith, Terrence Jones, and Dantas Maniunas, it's just nothing there at the power forward, really. So they should try doing that, or if it doesn't work out, end up trading a Sheik, because a Sheik has a lot of potential, obviously. Last year he averaged 10 and 12. He's a good player, really is. I miss him on my Bulls. I want him back on our bench, I really do. But the Rockets paid him a big contract, and I hope that if he doesn't do well with the Rockets, or if they don't treat him right, that they'll trade him to a team where he can be the starting center, because he can be a starting center in this NBA, and I really do like him as a player. He's my man, Omer Sheik. But I got them at the 3rd seed, or the 2nd seed, just because. Why am I moving teams? Just because they got the best shooting guard, arguably the best shooting guard, and arguably the best center in the NBA, and they got a good core around him. They got good shooting around him. I think they got good defense as well now with Dwight. Last year their defense was just but now they pick up Dwight, who's won many Defensive Players of the Year, actually 3 of them. So he's a beast, and Sheik plays great defense as well. So I like this team. I really do. I think I have them at the 2nd seed, but I'm not sure about that. I think they could fall anywhere between 2 and 4, really, or 2 and 5, really. But I got them at the 2nd team. And for the number 1 spot, you have what should be the reigning NBA champions, the San Antonio Spurs. The reason I say this, Manu Ginobili has gotten worse. Maybe he can do something this year. Last year was just a complete failure, really. But Tony Parker, underlooked still. You would think he wouldn't be underlooked anymore, but still is. And Kawhi Leonard is becoming a star. Kawhi Leonard last year in the finals, while he missed 2 clutch free throws, last year in the finals solidified himself, in my opinion, as one of the up-and-coming players in this NBA. Because he was, at points in the game, he was their offense. They gave the ball to him and let him make decisions, let him do what he wanted with it. And really, he was doing a good job at it. And I like Kawhi Leonard a lot. I really like his game. He plays great defense. He played great on LeBron. I like his game. Good shooter. Can take it to the hole. I just really like him. Manu Ginobili, you just need to step up. I like their addition of Marco Bellinelli. Only a 66 in this game, but he can shoot. As you saw last year with the Bulls, he played really well on the Bulls. Now, they're looking at his defense not to be that good, but on the Bulls last year, he did play some good defense. And while he only shot 40% from the field last year on the Bulls, he did what the Bulls needed him to do, and I'm going to miss him this year from the Bulls, but I'm glad that he went to a classy organization like the Spurs, the classiest organization in maybe any sporting, any just sport, in all of sports in general, man. Just Popovich, classy guy. The whole team is just classy. I like this team. I hated them, honestly, until last year. I watched all 7 games of the finals, every minute of it. If not, I wasn't watching. I was listening to it on the radio or something like that. But they're just a classy team, never dirty, just always. They'll kick your ass, but they'll do it with class, and they'll high five you, shake your hand, hug you after the game. It's nice to see a team in professional sports still at this day, still being classy when you have a lot of arrogant players. Tim Duncan, one of the classiest men in the NBA. Manu Ginobili, while stupid, still classy. Tony Parker, classy too. And I just like this team's work ethic and class. And with the Spurs, it's always just like, oh, okay, well, they're done. And really, they're not done. And they're never going to be done, because even when Tim Duncan, Manu, and Tony are at the end of their careers, or Tim Duncan and Manu rather soon, Tony's got a couple more years left. But when they're done, you're still going to have Kawhi Leonard, and he's an up-and-coming superstar. So I feel like they'll be the best team in the West this year, and I feel like they could possibly make the finals. Maybe not, but I feel like they could win the championship. I really do, and there's a lot of teams I feel like that, but I have them at number 1 in the West for a reason. So that's what I think, and I didn't speak of this just now, but Danny Green, one of the best shooters, had the best. If the Spurs would have won the title, if the finals would have been over after 5 games, he would have been looked at as one of the best shooting performances of all time. Dude could not miss until game 6 and 7, where game 6 and 7 he was just minimized completely. He didn't do much at all. But in the playoffs last year, he was turned. He really was. Great shooting, man. He set the record for most threes made in a playoff series, so that's incredible. Shout out to Danny Green, 3-point chooser. But yeah, those are my ratings, and that's my preview on the Western Conference in the NBA. It's going to be an exciting season, guys. I can't wait to see what ends up happening. Hope it's a good season, and hope the Heat don't repeat. And if you're still watching this video, if you watched all the way through, tell me on Twitter, just tell me in the comments. You guys deserve recognition, because I make these videos, and I put a lot of effort in these videos, and I appreciate anyone who watches to the end. And it means a lot to me, guys. So, tell me on Twitter if you did. I'll give you a follow, because you guys deserve it. Thanks, everyone, for watching. If you haven't already, follow me on Twitch, sub me on YouTube, follow me on Twitter, and friend me on Facebook. There's links for everything in the description. And everybody have a nice day. Peace.